welcome to Engage with Sage. We are so happy you are here today. Our teachers will not be on here live. Their videos will not be here today, but they will be over in the comments section. So if you are here, if you are new to Engage with Sage, or if you've been watching this whole time, please let us know you're there. You can say hi to all of us or say hi to your Sage teacher if you want. Today, we welcome a special guest. Welcome to Engage with Sage. Awesome. Thank you, Miss Schaefer. She makes those awesome videos for us, and that was awesome. So thank you, and thank you for the teachers for sending in your videos. So today, everybody, I'm so happy you're here, and our live views are already going up. So I'm super excited that you're here. Don't forget, if you are not here live, you can still watch it on our YouTube channel. So today, I would love to introduce to you David, a local entrepreneur and co-founder of a popular Kansas City hotspot, Bar K. Welcome, David.
Hey, how we doing? I love seeing all those pictures of the pups.
Yeah, we have a lot of people here today, too, just to say hi to you. So we have Droptini and Triton is Avocado 13. So welcome. We have some teachers over here as well. So we're super excited that you are here. Ms. Coe is also here. Look at all these people here to say hi to you. So first, while we're getting started and going through everybody's hellos, there's Ms. Torres. She's also a teacher over here at the Sage Center. We are going to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Dave Hensley. Like you said, I'm an entrepreneur here in Kansas City. In 2018, we launched Bar K, which is the first dog park, restaurant, coffee house of its kind, truly a destination. And that was just based upon our love for pets, which I'm sure we'll get more into that. But I'm originally from a small town in Kansas called Clearwater, and then spent a few years out in Colorado and Seattle, and then back to Kansas City, where we launched our dream, which is Bar K.
Wow. And I know personally, I love it. We're members, our families are. So we are super excited. And I was telling my class, but I'm going to tell everyone out there engaged with Sage. Being there, I kept thinking about what an amazing concept this was. And clearly you saw there was a problem in the community and you figured out a way to solve it. But it's really hard to, when you even come up with a solution, to figure out a way to make that solution come alive. So we have some students that have been generating some questions for you based on some research. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, hey, if this makes you more nervous, everybody out there, don't forget, just because Dave is a guest, we are still going to put him on the hot seat. Oh, yes. So here, after we do our question and answers, be thinking about your questions. And those will be on the comments section over there. So hold your questions until we get to the hot seat. Okay, here's your first one. Logan is a 7th grader. What was your inspiration for this idea?
Hi, Logan. That's a great question. You know, every business like this, I think, comes from some inspiration, and it comes from a personal story. I personally got a dog named Elliot. It was a golden retriever, and I had my best friend who got his dog, and coincidentally, we got our dogs on exactly the same day. We've never once talked about getting dogs before, and we just both randomly on a weekend went out and got our dogs, and I called him on the way back home, and I said, hey, Labe, which is my business partner's name. I said, hey, Labe, you're never going to guess. I just picked up a puppy. And he said, well, bring your puppy over because I just got a dog as well. We were already friends, and we were very social, going out to restaurants and coffee houses and, just being social with our friends. And now we started to bring our dogs with us. And when you talked earlier about solving a problem, I think we've just really tried to solve a problem for ourselves. And by doing that, solve a problem for a lot of people. And that problem is that the dogs have become part of the family, truly part of the family. It's like 95% of households think of their dog as a family member now. It wasn't like that a long time ago. And we started treating our dogs like family, trying to bring them everywhere with us and finding there weren't a lot of places to go. And so we thought we can build a place where it combines a dog park with a restaurant and a coffee house and all those elements. Then we'd be able to solve a problem for a lot of people. So that was really the inspiration. It started with our own dogs.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that story. Lindsay is a 7th grader, and she would like to know, what was the steps you took to start your business? And what would you say was the biggest learning curve for you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, Lindsay, great question. So the steps we took, first of all, it all starts with the idea. And we talked a little bit about the inspiration and the idea, but you probably heard the term that ideas are a dime a dozen. It could not be more true. Everybody has great ideas, and wouldn't this be nice? And I can't tell you how many people have come up to me in the dog park and said, oh, I had this idea years ago. We actually had the idea over 10 years ago, and we thought about it, we talked about it, we jumped on the phone, but until we took action, it didn't become a reality. And so, I would say the most important step in the process is really to take action. And you don't have to take big action. It's just what's your next actionable step that you can take. So figuring out, all right, what's the next thing I can do? And I would just always ask yourself, what can I do? It's called neuro-linguistic programming, where you just reframe the way you ask yourself questions, and it opens up your mind to the way you think about things. So we just asked, what can we do? And we started to move this forward. Eventually, we decided, well, we're going to have to leave our jobs. We both had perfectly good careers. My business partner was a lawyer and a CEO, and I had launched my own businesses, and we went full time and all in with this. So I would say, taking action, and then at some point, you've really got to dedicate yourself to, your business if it's something you really want to do.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, Miss Turner, we love problem solving here at the Sage Center. And so we are all up for any kind of partnerships or anything you can think about doing over there. So be thinking about us as you are growing your incredible empire over there. Yeah. Aubrey is an 8th grader, and she wants to know, what do you like most about your business? That's a tough one.
Yeah. It's a couple things. I think the obvious answer is the dogs, but it's deeper than that. What do the dogs represent, and what can they do? And we have a firm belief here that dogs are a way that can bring people together. And everybody knows, we just went through all this voting for president, and we know that there are people that have very different opinions out there about a number of topics. But the one thing that we have is dogs are a common interest for so many people. And I've seen people sitting at a table in our restaurant, and one of them is the CEO of one of the top companies in Kansas City. And the other one is somebody who I know is sort of a starving artist. And politically, I know they're very different on the spectrum. Economically, they're different. But they're sitting and having a conversation for 2 hours because they both have the same type of dog. And so what I love the most is that dogs represent this incredible power to bring people together and just to break down, barriers. And anything that does that and opens up a conversation, I think people start to realize, well, we have a lot more in common than we thought we did.
Yeah, that's incredible. And when I do see you there, you're always out talking to people. You're not ever really behind a desk. And so that's pretty cool. Is that something you enjoy, is walking around and seeing all the dogs and seeing all the people and talking? I bet you meet just some incredible people.
We do. We've had people travel in from all over the country, from other countries as well. We've had celebrities here. So it's been a lot of fun meeting people. And again, it's easy to start a conversation about dogs. So I love that part, just getting out and about and getting to know people.
Very cool. So Ben is an 8th grader, and you kind of just mentioned that you had other businesses and startups. So Ben kind of wants to know, what did you do before Bark? Did you have any other big ideas or plans?
Yeah, so I started off doing sales for a company called Merck, which was a company that makes pharmaceuticals and vaccines. I worked for 7 years selling pharmaceuticals, and then I switched over and launched 2 vaccines. So I'm very familiar with all the vaccine craze that's going on right now. But throughout my career at Merck, I kept thinking, well, there's something I can do. I can use my talents and my skills better than I'm using them now. And I wasn't really feeling like I got to use all the tools that I had at my disposal to better the world. So that's when I got an idea for this company. It was a mobile photo and document scanning company where we went to people's homes with a van equipped with scanning equipment, and we scanned all their photos and slides and documents, and then we'd give them back their originals. So I launched that in Denver in 2012, and then sold it to a company up in Seattle and spent a few months up there. And then got actually ousted out of my own company up in Seattle. It was very strange. But those lessons are the lessons that are hard learned are sometimes the best lessons. So that was my journey before Barkay.
Yeah. Miss Rust, you're right. We have a lot to learn from dogs. You're totally right. Okay. Trenton wants to know, since it's fresh on his mind, what celebrities, do you mind sharing?
Yeah, well, obviously we've had some local celebrities here. So Travis Kelce spent a day with us here at an event, which was a lot of fun, and just really getting to sit down and you see them on TV, but to find out they're human and that they're just like everybody else, but they've worked really hard on their craft, and that's what got them to that place. Paul Rudd has been in here, and we got to spend a day with Paul as well, and then a number of other minor celebrities, and then people have told me that other celebrities have been through. I wasn't always here to see them, and then we've had your typical political, governors and state representatives, those type of people that come through often.
Awesome, very cool. Zane is a 7th grader. Did people ever make you feel like you couldn't accomplish what you did?
Yes, and that is something that no matter what you do in life, you're going to run into is doubt. And you've just got to be confident in what you do. But it's also a good flag that's raised whenever somebody has doubt. I don't think you should just completely brush off somebody's doubt, but you should say, where is this coming from? And then really analyze it and say, all right, well, objectively, if I look at this, take the emotion out of it and objectively look and say, all right, my parents, they were always supportive, but I had friends who were thinking, why would you leave a perfectly good career to do this? Who's going to go to this place? There's free dog parks, all of those doubts. And it made me question, in a good way, the business. But ultimately, I decided that this was worth doing. So, you've just got to have conviction, but it's always good. And you should always welcome questions, especially the ones that make you uncomfortable, the ones that make you have sort of a emotional reaction. Sometimes those are the best questions. And it teaches you to be able to step back and say, all right, if I take the emotion out of this and say, what if they're right? This is that neuro-linguistic programming, right? What if they're right? And then just take yourself through that exercise. I think you learn a lot from this.
That's awesome. We talk a lot here about being proactive and not reactive. Yeah. And that's a really, really hard skill to learn. So that's a great technique. And you have something in common with everybody out there watching. Something that you mentioned to me is that you are a gifted person yourself.
Yeah, so I don't know if I am anymore, but yeah, I went through the gifted program, and it was such a special experience for me to be able to be exposed to new opportunities. And again, it's really digging in and finding out how your gifts can better the world and maximizing what you can do. But I will say, the one thing that I've learned, and even watching all my friends who are in the gifted program, there were probably half of them who went on to do really great things and the other half who didn't. And what was that factor that made the difference? They were all gifted, right? But I think the factor that made the difference is that you've got to put in the work, and you've got to be persistent and dedicated, and you can't just rely on your talents. You've got to step ahead because you've got these gifts. But if you don't put in the work to utilize the gifts, then it's a complete, I wouldn't say a waste, but you've wasted an opportunity.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And we have a couple more questions before we get to put you on the hot seat.
All right.
So at this point, make sure everyone out there is thinking of questions to put Dave on the hot seat. But before we get to that, Lila is a 7th grader. So all of these things are so great, but everybody, I'm sure, wants to know, how did you financially get this started? Because it could not have been cheap.
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is that, financing a business like this, falls under the category of a potential problem, right? And the one message I'll say to everybody is, for every problem, almost nearly every problem, there's a solution. So if you've come to the end and you thought, well, this isn't going to work, dig deeper, because there's a solution out there. And finding the money for something like this is one of those things. There's a million different ways you can finance a business like this. We did a combination. So we were able to get a bank loan. We were able to find investors that believed in our concept, and then we put in our own money. I would say that having a good financial, at least credit, would be important, so it's important that you watch and you pay your bills on time and all of those things, because that will help you be able to earn money, and that gives you more tools at your disposal to solve the problem. But that's kind of how we did it, and we're actually going out and raising more money for our launch in Oklahoma City and St. Louis next year.
Oh, very cool. So here we go. We have another one here from Lindsay. And this is a little bit more relevant to our current times, but how have you changed your business model to fit the current events?
Yeah, it's been a challenge for everyone. And my heart goes out to all the restaurants out there. They're having a really tough time. We have an advantage here that we have so much outdoor space. And what we found is that, COVID, it really isn't spread a whole lot through in the outdoor environments. So we've got a lot of space that people can spread out. So that's helped us, but we still had to make adjustments. We're forced to close down for 2 months, which was really difficult for the business. When we opened back up, of course, what you see in the restaurants with masks, we required those before we were even required by the city. We increased our cleaning schedules. We encourage social distancing. And then we've also limited the amount of people that we allow in our park. And that's not mandated by the city. We just decided that it was the right thing to do. So we've cut our capacity down to about 1/5 of our normal capacity. So, normally we'd be able to fit 600 people in the entire space. And we're much less than that right now.
Awesome. So really quick, before we get to the hot seat, I would like to let everyone know. So one thing we do here, Dave, is we have a teacher, Ms. Coe, and she posts a code word. And she's going to post that at some point today. She might have already posted it. So if you have not seen that code word yet out there, and if you see that code word, they email their teachers that code word. And then after that, the teachers add up how many emails they get. And we're kind of competitive around here because why not, right? And we have a traveling trophy. And Miss Turner is going to post the winner of this week's winner. And so I'm super excited. So if you see that over there, we'll make sure we display that. So Miss Turner, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and let us know. But as everyone knows, this is my favorite part of the show. We're pretty fancy here with our technology. So here we go. We got our first question, and I see they're already posted, but I saw that avocado posted up here. There it is. What's your favorite dog?
What's my favorite dog breed?
I think so. Or I guess your favorite dog. I guess that'd probably be your own.
Well, my favorite dog is Bishop, and he's an 11-year-old golden doodle. So I've had him for obviously 11 years. He's great, wonderful dog. And then I also have a Bernese mountain dog named Bogart. So, and you can find Bogart. I think he has an Instagram called Bogart the Burner. If you're on Instagram and want to see pictures of him, and then Bishop's on there as well. So those are my two favorite dogs. But one thing you'll find is there are so many wonderful dogs, and the kind of the neat things about each breed. They behave differently, and it's fun to see the different personality types.
Very cool. Okay, here's the next one. Was there ever a funny story about, okay, so can you tell a funny story about a dog, human, or other animals that have happened at BarK?
Yeah, well, we had a wedding here about 2 months ago, and this was a couple that came to BarK all the time, so that was kind of a funny story. But I think one of my favorites is there were two girls who had lived in the same apartment complex, and they were walking one day. They were both members of BarK, but they were walking one day, and they looked and they said, "Boy, your poodle looks a lot like my poodle." And they started talking, and they both had picked up their dogs from the exact same breeder in a really small town in Missouri who focused on poodle breeding. And it turns out they were from the same litter. And these two girls happened to live just like 4 doors down from each other in the same.
Oh, wow. That
was a really unique interaction there. And of course, then they would come to Bar K all the time and share that story.
That is a good story. What do you do about dogs that aren't getting along? Because there's dogs there sometimes.
Yeah, that's a great question and a very common question. So one thing we do is we staff our park with dog tenders, and our dog tenders are trained staff. They go through a pretty intensive training on dog behavior. Most of the time that a dog is uncomfortable or unhappy, they give very obvious signs with their ear position, their tail position. So it's not just barking and growling or their hair sticking up. In fact, sometimes those can be false signs. But if you combine those, and our team's trained to see when a dog's not feeling well, they can go in and prevent the dogs from having conflict in the first place. But there will be times where a dog's running full speed and just happens to not see a dog and runs into it, just like if somebody ran into you, in the street. You might not like that. And so that's why our team's there to manage that and to make sure that they separate the dogs. But you can't completely prevent conflict, but having trained staff is the most important part. And then the second most important part is that, people know when they come here, if they have dogs that are poorly socialized, typically won't bring their dogs here because that's just an embarrassment to them as the owner, right?
Yeah, and one thing I thought is really funny, but also really important, is you have doggy timeout.
Yes. Yeah, we do. So occasionally dogs will get timeout, and then some dogs have not been allowed to come back. They just throw it, whatever the challenges were in their life before they came to Bar K, they just could not overcome those, and found that they couldn't socialize or play well with others. It happens.
But it's important for your business that everyone is having fun and everyone feels safe. And that's huge. But that's definitely something that I'm sure you're keep working on as you continue growing your business, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, we work on that a lot. But it's, again, we can't completely prevent conflict, so.
Awesome. So Ms. Co has posted the code word. If you have not seen it, it's the word. Sorry, not code, word, gizmo. So there you go, everybody. If you have not seen that yet, make sure you email your teachers. And if you are at home, you can go ahead and give your drum roll, please. Miss Turner's class has won the trophy, so it will now leave my place. Yes, good job, Miss Turner's class. So let's see who will win this week. I've already got a lot of emails out there. My watch keeps dinging, so I'm super excited about that. All right, we still have tons more questions, and we are running out of time. Okay, has a cat ever come in?
No, but someone tried to bring a cat once, and they were very disappointed that we wouldn't let their cat in. Now, we did offer to partner with a shelter where they could, or not shelter, but a daycare where they could put their cat there while they brought their dog in. But they tried, but no, that probably wouldn't be a good fit. There is a cat cafe in town, and the owner of that brings her dog here quite a bit. So I would recommend they try to go to the cat cafe.
There you go. Okay. This is a really exciting question because I know we haven't really talked about the future with you and possibly engage with Sage, but this is a great question. What do you do with all the poo?
Yeah, so right now we throw it away, which is not what we want to do. Sustainability is really important. We won a sustainability award in the city, 2019, for our use of solar panels and recycling. But dog poo is a problem because it's not typically seen as something that's very good for composting. But we'd like to find an energy solution for that, where we could power a light or at least use it for free compost that people could pick up. And we go through a lot of dog poop. So that is a problem that we'd love to solve in the next couple of years, and it would speak to our core value of sustainability.
So maybe some of our students can kind of come up with some ideas and we can shoot them your way. What do you think of that? I
would love to have some really smart people look at this and give us some ideas. Again, like I said before, this is a problem. Every problem has a solution. You just have to dig deep enough, and we have not dug deep enough yet.
Well, you don't have to do it alone, because I know a lot of students and teachers out there, yes, I'm talking to you, everybody, that could be thinking of a possible solution for you, which would be really cool. So we could bring them back to you and get some feedback. So that would be really neat. So thank you for that opportunity.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we are really getting close to the end of our show, and I cannot thank you enough for being here and taking your time out. I wish we could have you here in person, or we could come to you, but unfortunately this is the best we have, but we're so happy you're here. But here's a great question from Trenton. How did you get the name?
That's a great one. So when we were talking about the idea, we thought, well, if you could combine a restaurant and bar atmosphere with a dog park, what would you call it? And we just thought Bar K, because bar and restaurant, right? And then Bar K spells the word bark. So that's what we came up with. And that was really the turning point for us. It was something so minor, but we thought, now we have to do it. We've come up with the name.
Yeah, that is a really neat name. And some people actually thought it was bark.
Yeah.
Which that would be okay too. Very, very cool.
It's kind of almost an inside thing where when you know that it's called Bar K.
Very cool. Now we all know. Okay, so I guess here's another question, but would you ever branch out to any other pets or cats?
Yeah, personally, I would. I mean, I'd say everyone here is an animal lover first, but they happen to, love dogs. So we have people that were zookeepers that work here, that, work in rescue that work here. So everybody's an animal lover. So I love cats, and I certainly would get a cat. In fact, I almost got one a few years ago, but then I moved and it wasn't the best situation. But yes, definitely.
Awesome. Well, that will be really fun to follow up with you here in the future. So we asked our students to send in their pictures of their pets. And so before we all say goodbye and thank you to you, let's see it. Are you ready to see it?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's do it. That was so great, wasn't it? We all love our pets around here.
Yeah, I love those, especially like with the nose in the shoe. Those were great.
So, Tier, I know, not goodbye, but we have hit that time of our show, and we really appreciate you being here with us. So thank you so much. Miss Stuffit, you are very lucky. Miss Stuffit is a teacher here, and we always tease her because she does not like squirrels. So no squirrels out there. I love it. So Dr. Merson, you were right. It was a very insightful interview. Dr. Merson is our principal here at our center joining us. So thank you so much. Ms. Torres, thank you, Dave, for offering your time and wisdom for our students. And you're right, the pictures were great. So again, thank you so much for being here. But before we leave, I want to let you finish the show because you have been awesome. Do you have any last advice or tips or any wisdom to tell our audience?
Yeah, well, first I want to thank you for having me on here. It was a real honor. I would say if there's one thing I could point out, it's one of my favorite quotes, and I'm not going to give the whole thing, but I want you all to look it up because I think it's probably the most important piece, and it's persistence. And there's a quote by Calvin Coolidge which says, "Nothing in the world can take place of persistence. Talent cannot, genius cannot, all of these things." And I think it speaks really well to folks like yourself who are gifted, to know that it's more than just your gifts. You have to be persistent. So look that quote up, again, by Calvin Coolidge. And I think it was in 1890. I can't remember the year on it, but definitely check that one out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So bye, everybody. Until next week, we will have all the teachers on here for a special winter edition of Engage with Sage, where we will be playing Minute to Win It games. So please join us next week. Again, Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will see everybody